Betsy and Thomas here for the American Intelligence Media. Today, Thomas, before we get started on decoding this amazing bunch of Trump tweets, I want to talk to you about an email that I received from someone. He's very upset with us because we are not addressing the military tribunals. And that's it. He's had it with us, and he's going back to Q because at least Q tells him the real news of military tribunals.
No, that's incorrect. I've been following Q. I've seen every single post. I've read every one of them. I've gone to every URL that has been posted, and there is nothing new about military tribunals. When Trump wrote his executive order, which really was something that happens every once in a while, that they basically revamp the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and in this particular case, there were many references to military tribunals. But the 85,000 sealed indictments, and where are they? And the military tribunals. Hey, I will be glad to go there. I'd like to be in the audience and watch. Please show me anybody who's gone to a military tribunal. Gitmo being revamped. Yes, it actually has been. They've expanded it a bit because why? Trump's not leaving Gitmo. They had taken down parts of it because they were planning to leave. So, are there people at Gitmo stuffed? Run just too many people. They're military tribunals, and George H.W. Bush went through one, and they convicted him, and he didn't die. He's actually in Gitmo. Okay, look, if you want to do that stuff, we can recommend sites you can go to where all day long you can waste your time with people's speculation. We don't deal in speculation. We deal in realities. And if we do speculate, as you've noticed, we are seldom ever wrong. Matter of fact, no one has proven us wrong in anything we've speculated on, but we'd be happy if you did, because then we would change our opinion and we'd retract what we said. But as it is, right now, the people who write about military tribunals aren't retracting anything they have to say about it. And when Trump wrote that executive order, which was about a year ago, what happened from that? Yes, it restructured the military tribunals, so it basically made it easier for them to happen, and made it easier for them to happen to civilians. And so, yes, treason and sedition is now more easy to go after, and I cannot wait until the time comes that happens, but I have yet to see it.
Okay, so shall we dive into tweets of March 8th and 9th?
Or was it 5G you wanted to talk about?
I do. I'm just very upset with Brad Parscale. His naivety about 5G is just too much for me to take. Today was a tweet. He tweeted out, "Yay, go 5G," and he attached an article that touts 5G. And I just want to say, Brad, are you an idiot? Do you not do your research? Who the heck are you that you would sit there and promote 5G without looking at the long-term effects on human beings? Bees, butterflies, birds, little animals in the forest. What are you people, idiots? We have told you. We have shown you that there is a patent. It's been patented by Richard C. Walker. It's called the Internet of Things. And what it is a patent to lock down the planet as a prison. We will all be locked into digital tyranny. And it needs 5G to operate. And here you have Brad Parscale promoting the wonders of 5G. Doesn't he understand who Richard C. Walker in this patent is? Our research shows that he is this ephemeral being that no one really knows. Betsy's gut is that it's just a cardboard cutout for Hillary Rodham Clinton, the foremost premier patent attorney on the earth, who holds patents to many things, including, I believe, this one. Now, the other thing about 5G is there's no long-term testing on it. So, Brad Parscale, do you have children? Are you going to let the eggs in your little girl's ovaries be fried? Because all they have to do is put the equipment up right now. Of course the Chinese want to put all the equipment up. They put all the equipment up, and then when they're ready, they turn on the juice. And you have no idea what's going to happen. I am so disappointed in Brad Parscale. And people, you need to get onto his Twitter, and you need to help him get out of his ignorance.
He, like so many, are ruled by machine thinking. And so they think more machines, better. Faster machines, better. Anything with machines, better. It's all wrong. What he's actually hoping for is, because he is a tech guy and he's all about media, and he wants to get 5G into places where there isn't even 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G. That's his real point. Now, that's only going to happen when 5G is made universal and it goes all the way out into every single part of America. Every single part in America. And if it isn't covered by land-based 5G repeaters, antennas, what will happen is there will be a parked satellite over that area so that anyone driving through that area will at least be able to have 5G through satellite. 14,000 satellites have been approved to go into space to beam down 5G. That's insanity. 5G is insanity. Now, what's really going on? When Trump said, yeah, give me 5G, give me 6G, give me whatever, he was showing that this is not his expertise. Now, he has many times said he knows the most about the wall. He knows the most about surveillance on the border. He knows the most about the money situation, the currency situation. He knows the most about, well, you know what? He probably does. But he does not know the most about technology. And he certainly doesn't know the most about the dangers of 5G. What he's saying is, very clearly, and this people do not understand, Verizon, AT&T and T-Mobile, that's kind of funny to say it all in one, AT&T and T-Mobile, they all said they were not going to put 5G in. Okay? And then Qualcomm came along and said that they were going to join with Broadcom, and they would put 5G in throughout every single speck of America on the ground-based repeater antennas and broadcasters. So what happened? At the last moment, the CFIUS committee, Trump actually more or less vetoed them approving it because we found out that it was Hillary Clinton and the Chinese working through Singapore to try to fool us with the front man of Richard C. Walker that Broadcom is American. It is not. It's Chinese. And the second that would have happened, exactly as Betsy portrayed there. Now, what's really going on? Trump just wants every American to have access because he knows that, getting access to the internet can be the most important thing if you want a break like he has and he wants to provide for people. Economically, commerce, jobs, availability, knowledge, everything. So he just thinks that's good. And he's thinking, well, there's already 4G, and that's microwaves, and we're living in a sea of microwave digital ocean. We are surrounded by it. It's penetrating us. I won't even give you the numbers because they're unbelievable, but let's just say uncountable EMF frequencies are going through your body at all levels right now, from all the way through the microwave and on into what's millimeter, or what I call milliwave. So milliwave is already happening in some cases. And so Trump is just simply saying right now he's going to give out $40 billion. So what happened? The very companies that said they wouldn't do it stepped up and they said they're going to do it because they want the $40 billion. So now what is he saying? Forget it. We're going to nationalize it. That's being insinuated by him and some of his staff. Yes, it should be nationalized so that the Chinese can't use it as a weapon, so that the corporate warlords can't use it as a weapon, so the Silicon Valley cutout idiots can't use it as a weapon, and that's what it is.
Well, I don't want to see it rolled out at all until there is long-term testing on human beings. This is complete idiocy, not to mention how unaesthetic they will be with these poles in front of everybody's houses.
Active denial is the military form of it. Using the same exact equipment, you can kill somebody. You can make them go to sleep. You can make them feel like their brain's on fire. And China is now bragging that they've taken what we call active denial in the military, and it's nothing more than milliwaves, taken above, say, 50 millimeters, taken above 50, the active denial, according to the Chinese, simply can make you feel like your entire body is on fire underneath your skin and there's nothing you can do about it. And they're out there bragging about it, and they're putting it on their what we call Humvees, on their vehicles, land-based vehicles, so that they can use it in war. Well, they've been using it in war for a long time.
But they could also disguise them as these Waymo driverless vehicles that can come into your neighborhood and surveil you and use that technology against you.
anyone standing in this field can hack anyone else. And we now know that it's all connected, including your Gmail emails are for public consumption, folks. Anybody can go in and get your personal emails if they're on Gmail. Anybody can get anything you did on Skype. It's all recorded. But now, in the last 6 months, operatives in white hats inside of the NSA say that they've turned off their surveillance of Americans for the last 6 months. It's just simply not on. It's not being collected, which would be good because Trump gave Dan Coats the order to do that. And we haven't seen any evidence that that has happened until just now with one white hat who's come out to say that. So it's going to come out with 5G. Everyone is getting upset about it. It's like vaccinations. At one point, there were only a few of us. We were a voice in the wilderness talking about what vaccinations do to children. And now you have an entire movement. So what we need, and we now have an entire movement against 5G. And your passion and anger about this, we believe we just saw a stake put in our own land that is probably going to be a pole that has a 5G antenna on it. Folks, they're going to have to put cameras on all of them because most Americans are simply going to go out with their shotgun and do their business. Because
it's
why?
A weapon. It's a weapon against
It's
you
a
and
weapon.
your family, and it's there, and it's aimed. It's at your family.
It is
What
a
else
weapon.
are you going to do?
It is a weapon. The internet is a weapon. It is a failed weapon. And now that we have commerce on it, it's the most dangerous weapon ever created, far beyond nuclear.
Okay, well, I could be on here forever. But anyway, you guys out there, go take Brad Parscale to school. All right, now that there were a bunch of tweets right here all in a row from this guy named Paul Sperry. And the first one reads, now that even some MSM acknowledging there never was a collusion scandal, when will MSM start investigating the real of Obama, DOJ, FBI, and Clinton campaign, making it look like there was? Oh, that's right. The MSM were accomplices in that scandal. Never mind. And of course, Trump speaks through these retweets because perhaps it's not politically cool for him to say these things directly.
Yes, and Paul Sperry is an author. He's written many books, and he's been on Fox News as a consultant, as a contributor. He's New York Post, and he was writing, this is from some of his writings. I anticipate that he'll be doing a book on Trump very soon, and this is the preparation for it. This is getting out ahead, getting the narrative out there. And what he's saying is...
Of course, everyone in our audience already knows this material, and they've known it. You've known it for many, many months. So what you find now are these laggard reporters finally catching up with you, what you, the AIM audience, has known for a long time. Maybe somebody out in our audience would like to start writing the books about how the Queen of England and the Privy Council is really behind this Spygate overthrow of Donald Trump.
That's the point. Paul Sperry does not go far enough. And none of the books on Trump at this point, even the ones talking about the coup that is actively going on, go far enough. So these tweets are good, and Trump uses them because he is a recognized person. He's a bit on the edge. You know, he tells the truth about Islamic fascism, and he is, a bit edgy. But what you're pointing out is he doesn't go far enough, and he certainly doesn't show that the real genesis of this came from Christopher Steele, who was told by Sir Richard Dearlove, who was told by Lord Malloch-Brown, who was told by Sir Geoffrey Patty, who was told by the rest of the Privy Council to attack Donald Trump because he's going to cause, nationalism and populism to rise, and already has, and now he's even a hero in Britain. They hate him, and so they attacked him. And it goes back to Alexander Downer. It goes back to Andrew Wood. It goes back to all these, the Cambridge intelligence groups, the other intelligence group, Orbis Business Intelligence Group, Christopher Steele and his partner, all of them. It was a British attack against Trump. It was absolutely blatant. It was all over their news. Everyone talked about it, all the way up to the Prime Minister, who literally pictures of him with his hand around the frame-up George Papadopoulos.
Well, they sent Robert Hannigan in here to help John Brennan do the spying.
Robert Hannigan should go to prison for what he's done.
Sanctions need to be put on Britain for what they've done to our country. Because this is just the tip of the iceberg. If you've been with us for a while, you know how deep this is. You know how the Crown agents work, how Serco, the Senior Executive Service, these are all players in the British rule of the world.
And we're going to see, as Paul Sperry points out here, really that the mainstream media were accomplices. But I would say they're more than accomplices. They are part of when the new special counsel comes that focuses on this conspiracy. And this time it will be a conspiracy. Mind you, I have told you again and again, but this is a conspiracy to commit treason and sedition. This isn't a conspiracy against America, a general one that Robert Mueller is prosecuting Donald Trump for, which there is no such crime. This is a conspiracy of treason, and the mainstream media was part of it. They met with Christopher Steele repeatedly. They took his lies and gave it out as the truth. They echo-chambered it until at this very moment, if you say, they now say, as Sperry points out, oh yeah, there was no collusion. Oh, but there was definitely Russian conspiracy. There was definitely now obstruction of justice. There was definitely now conspiracy to commit election fraud. Oh, whatever they can bend it to, it doesn't matter. They're still committing a crime of conspiracy against the United States of America for treason because they know that it is racketeering. They know it's a monopoly of falsehood. And what he's pointing out here is that they have to wake up because the Mueller investigation report will be coming out in some form. And don't believe Alan Dershowitz, who just got popped for being a good friend of...
he's a globalist. He's just hiding among us to let us think that he's one of the good guys. He's not.
He's a Jeffrey Epstein friend who was having sex with underage girls on his island.
Never Trumper.
And he's the liar who, was against Trump, then for Trump, and now he's writing supposedly.
Well, they couldn't haul out Jerome Corsi to write it. That would probably have been their other pick.
Absolutely. But
okay,
Jerome
they all work
still
together.
Fighting for his own life right now. But notice he's gone quiet, and notice that Stone has been gagged because Stone got loud. So we still have yet to see what's going to happen with them trying to pin conspiracy on somebody. But the conspiracy is with the mainstream media. And I just love it when they have to say there's no collusion. They just go into convulsions and they go back to their normal propaganda. And here's the reality. They're going to be embarrassed by the Mueller report. That's the reason that the House, Nadler and Shifty Eyes and the rest of them are going after Trump. And I'll tell you about that in a minute.
Okay, next one. Glenn, and this is another Paul Sperry, who, by the way, stops short big time. Hey, Paul, why don't you do your homework and really report what's going on instead of just hanging in the low fruit area called Glenn Simpson and Christopher Steele, which you call are two of the biggest villains in Russia collusion hoax. Yet neither has faced serious scrutiny. They manufactured and seeded the dossier lies and disinformation. Yet Simpson still hasn't been subpoenaed to testify publicly before Senate. Your move, Senator Graham. But you see, what he doesn't tell you, why isn't he talking about Stephen Halper here?
Yeah.
I mean, really? So, and I've noticed that in a lot of articles, they want to tell you that the end of the trail is Christopher Steele and, oh my gosh, we may have to throw Obama under the bus. Don't let them keep you from going all the way, people. You need to take it all the way to the Queen's lap. It started in Britain. It landed over here. They're trying to overthrow our country, and we need to end it and start telling the truth. So, Paul Sperry, nice tweet, but you don't go far enough for Miss Betsy.
That's right. Put Christopher Steele in front of Glenn Simpson's name because he is the Brit who worked with the Russians to create this dossier. So when you say the Russian dossier, you are saying a British spy working with Russians colluded to rig our elections so that Hillary would win. That's what's going on. And so he needs to put it in perspective. He needs to point out that Christopher Steele won't show up for anything now.
No, because they're not. The Queen is probably freaking out. She's saying, shut this thing down.
He only shows up for the multiple lawsuits, 2 in America, 2 in England, where he is losing miserably. And also, Glenn Simpson. Let's just talk about, let's remember, Grassley demanded that the DOJ investigate Steele because he lied already, and over and over again, and because of the fact that he was fired from the FBI, still continued to work, and then he started getting money from other people, and we'll go into that in a minute. But Steele didn't stop, and so Steele needs to be prosecuted. And he is a British spy. Now, I don't care about Five Eyes. I don't care that they're supposedly our intelligence friend. This
That's a lie.
is an attack.
They tell us that lie over and over again, so we think that they are our friends.
Now remember, Glenn Simpson thumbed his nose. He came and gave testimony, and then they asked him to give further testimony because they caught him in lies, and he thumbed his nose at them. So all of you who are getting the Nadler, Jerry Nadler, who's completely compromised and should recuse himself and step down, if he was honest, the 88 people that he is subpoenaing, or has sent subpoenas to, well, ignore them exactly as Glenn Simpson did, exactly as Christopher Steele did, exactly as all of these guilty people do. They're called, they're subpoenaed, they don't answer, they don't go, and if they do, they plead the fifth.
Or if they do, they go and lie. Because
Yes.
it's okay to lie. We don't know who's telling the truth and who's telling a lie. Why are we even putting up with these hearings?
Remember that Simpson testified behind closed doors for the Senate Intelligence Committee when Feinstein was still in it, and then she took the transcripts and gave them out. One of the first times that's been done, except for Adam Schiff, who's done that a number of times, or at least came right out and leaked or read directly from classified documents. So Feinstein did that so that Glenn Simpson would tell everybody who was involved in this conspiracy his alibi so that they would all know what he is saying to the judges. That's what Donna Brazile did. That's what Jonathan Weiner did. That's what Comey did. That's what Andrew McCabe is doing with his book. That's what they're all doing. They put their alibis out there so that the other people who colluded with them will know what they are testifying. This is the oldest trick in the book, and it's getting disturbing. So, Paul Sperry, go a little bit further.
Yeah, really? Well, let's take it. He's got another tweet. And once again, Paul Sperry is swimming in the shallow end of the spin zone, because here is where he won't take you. He won't take you to naming the deep state, which is Senior Executive Service, Serco, and the Crown Agents. They all want to call it this nebulous deep state. So listen as we read the tweet. Despite running informant stings on Trump campaign, electronically spying for year, unmasking NSA intercepts, rummaging through Trump's fixers' files, recordings, garbage, exploiting British intel, and probing by CIA, FBI, DOJ, DOS, SSCI, and on and on and on, and deep state cannot prove collusion. And remember, if you want to read the tweets, just drop into the description box, and I've got them all listed there under the link.
This is getting started. Now he just needs to list who these people are.
He never will. He's one of theirs. He's never going to take you all the way to truth. When are these independent news reporters going to start reporting on Senior Executive Service?
Well, as you just pointed out, this was a British spy attempt to destroy Donald Trump. Destroy him, not just meddle in the election. Basically to take down our constitutional republic, because they wanted Hillary elected. And the plans were already there. Just go read the intelligence community's report, Paradigm of Progress, and you will see what Hillary was going to do. We've told you many times. So, yes, how come he doesn't mention Sir Dearlove, Jeffrey Patty, Lord Malloch-Brown, Alex Downer, Andrew Woods, as we mentioned?
No.
Why doesn't he point out that that Cohen took his client's tapes and he taped everybody? He was so corrupt. And when we saw the CD, fake. When we heard the tape of Trump supposedly giving orders to make the hush money, fake. When he brought out recently Michael Cohen in his testimony, which he starts off saying, I'm a liar. I've lied, but I'm not a liar. I've done bad things, but I'm not a bad person. I was a fixer, but I'm no longer Donald Trump's fixer. Okay, at that point, they should have just taken him out. Why would they allow a liar like that to even continue? But anyway, we'll go into that in a minute. The point is that, as you said, Robert Hannigan, working with the General Communications Headquarters, the NSA of Britain, came over and used Fort Meade, Maryland, to literally put in a hard wire tapping of Trump's team at Trump Tower, okay? The Brits came over, how about Watergate? They physically, this wasn't just your standard wireless intercept that was also coming from a Manafort's phone, because they had been tapping his phone for years, 4 or 5 years. And so they had all that, and everyone in his upstream, downstream, two jumps, they had all of that. But that isn't what they did. They put a hard wire in because why? Because Felix Sater was setting up Trump Towers, and they wanted to get the emails between Rob Goldstein, who was also a Russian asset. And remember, Rob and Felix brought in Natalia Veselnitskaya and 2 other known Russian spies with the approval of the State Department. That means a crime was committed conjointly in a conspiracy. Robert Hannigan, John Brennan, using the NSA, putting in a hard wire, bringing in 3 known spies who were on the list and of no-fly into this country that were approved to be brought in. One of them, Natalia Veselnitskaya, met with Glenn Simpson before and after the Trump Tower meetings, okay? So when you started making the list, this is what the guy should be going after. I want to hear people talking about the fact that Oleg Deripaska, the Russian, who really influenced the election probably more than any other Russian, and then Dmitry Alperovitch, who was the one who made the report, the only one, a Russian, who was a Russian convicted cyber warrior who the FBI already arrested, and he's an FBI asset before he helped Sean open what's called CrowdStrike. He's a Russian. How about Alexandra Chalupa, who is a Russian Ukrainian who tried to frame up Manafort? Okay, Paul Sperry, do you get the point?
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. Where does he talk about Joseph Mifsud and these other attorneys that are sitting on the special counsel that have direct connections to the Knights of Malta?
The presumably dead Joseph Mifsud, who was a CIA asset,
yeah,
who worked with Stefan Halper.
Is this reporter with his water wings on, just flapping around in the shallow end of the spin zone? Well, citizens want more. This is not enough.
How about the Papadopoulos frame-up? It was the Brits who framed him up. Who framed Sam Clovis? The Brits. Who was it that was sponsoring them and giving the money? A Russian named Stefan Rowe, okay? Why isn't any of this being reported? I'm so tired of waiting a year, 2 years for a man then to be quoted by Trump, who's going to probably write a book, who'll make a ton of money, who only is shallow. Let's get to some depth. Let's go to the next one because there's even more there.
All right, another one by Paul Sperry. Breaking. Democratic Representative Jerry Joe McCarthy Nadler, who just yesterday declared that Trump obstructed justice, just now on CNN admitted he doesn't have the facts to prove obstruction of justice, but just personally knows it to be true and will investigate.
Now, imagine that. No crime, but he knows, just like Adam Schiff supposedly has evidence, Jerry knows. He just knows. And because he knows, he's very much like Dmitry Alperovitch, who came on the news after he made his report that the Russians had hacked the DNC, which they did not, and has been proven again and again did not happen. It was a breach. It was not a hack. What did he say? When he was questioned, he said Vladimir Putin personally directed this hack because he hates Hillary Clinton, which is a lie. He loves Hillary Clinton. He was in bed with her. All the things she gave him, ridiculous. And that he was for Trump. No, he wasn't. He wasn't for anybody. And there was really no Russian interference. And when the Mueller report comes out, it's going to be a bunch of bogus nonsense. But the point is that Dmitry Alperovitch literally, after questioned repeatedly, says, well, I don't have evidence, but I know in my heart that it was Vladimir Putin who did this. No evidence.
I thought he said it was Cozy Bear.
Well, yeah, he said it was them too, but he said it was personally directed by Vladimir Putin
really,
directly.
We have been talking about this for over a year. When are these reporters going to get with the program and get as far ahead as average citizens are?
Both Schiff, old shifty face, shifty eyes, and Nadler, as he's calling him Joe McCarthy, in other words, the communist chaser, Nadler has to recuse himself, and so does Schiff, because they both met with Cohen before he testified when he gave all those lies. Can't do that. They literally went over his testimony. You can't do that. They both need to step down, and that would destroy their calendar for impeachment because it has to be very swift, very quick. That's the reason Rashida Tlaib has probably been now paid, she was paid by George Soros, a completely illegal amount to a super PAC, which then she took $45,000 out of. Anyway, she's going to be paid by George Soros because she's a Republican who's a Muslim.
She's not a Republican. She's a Democrat.
I thought she was a Republican.
Rashida Tlaib, she's a Democrat from Dearborn. In fact, she used her father's address falsely in order to be elected in that district.
Well, whatever. She's paid by George Soros, and she's going to be paid more because she's the person putting forth the impeachment bill, which Al Green has already put forth twice and it lost. It got very few votes some time ago. And Al Green wants to put it forth for bigotry. She wants to put it forth. And the new bill that was just put forth, that was supposed to be a setup to go after Trump for bigotry, because he won't allow Muslims from countries that Obama dropped bombs on for 8 years, and now they're kind of mad at us. Why would we want to let those people who are, in fact, they were turned to ISIS, Al-Qaeda, turned to al-Nusra, turned to all these different Muslim terrorist groups, why would we let them in the country after Obama did to them what they did? And they're going to hold that as bigotry against Trump when Obama himself put the same exact executive order restricting those exact same people from those exact same countries from coming into this country. And now they're going to impeach Trump for supposedly bigotry because of Ilhan Omar's Ilhan Omar's statements that are anti-Semitic against Israel and against specifically members of Congress and senators who make allegiance to Israel, who in fact she accused them of doing. Now, whether
you mean
that's
the
true,
woman who married her brother so that she could get her quote-unquote citizenship here? That makes her an illegal alien. What the hell is she doing in Congress?
well, she comes from the place where there's more Somali Muslim ISIS fighters in America that were put there by Obama in Minnesota. And so what do you expect? You can't even walk through those areas.
Well, why isn't the state of Minnesota doing something about this raghead wearing infiltrator in Congress? Just because the votes were towards her, and I would say that they were rigged, she still is here illegally.
Rashida Tlaib is
and then you got
from
Kamala,
Dearborn, and she is in the largest conclave of Muslims
well,
in America.
You got Kamala Harris. From everything we can tell, she's just an anchor baby. What is she even doing?
We
running
don't know that
for
she
the
was...
president. We don't know for sure, but every indicator shows that she is not a legitimate American citizen.
She is a Yaman, no problem. She's from Jamaica, man, and that's okay because our last president was from Indonesia.
Oh, okay. Well, let's go on to more exciting things from Paul Sperry. Let's see. Now he's saying that Cohen claimed his shady father-in-law's in the clothing business when in fact he's loan shark and same taxi cab medallion biz as Cohen. More, his father-in-law is a convicted fraudster who was named, along with Cohen's wife, in investigation. Cohen chose to sing on Trump instead. I'm just saying, this is such old news.
It's old news. We all know that Mueller threatened his wife, Cohen's wife, who is... her father is a mob boss, one of the worst. I mean, he is, they say fraud, that's nothing. They say for a loan shark, that's nothing. This man owns, basically, the taxi cabs in New York, and the ones that he doesn't own, Michael Cohen owns because he married his daughter. And Michael Cohen is the worst scumbag lawyer. He is a mobster lawyer. If you do business in New York and you're a real estate agent, you got to have about 10 different lawyers, one for each thing. Like, for instance, let me give you an example. Michael Cohen was his scumbag lawyer who handled things that he didn't even tell Trump about, so Trump wouldn't even know that they happened, because then he would be possibly culpable for them. And that's what happened with Stormy Daniels and the whores. And that's not the only person that Trump has running basically interference for him, being a buffer. Because when you're a billionaire and you are as audacious and as braggadocious as Trump, of course women are going to try to set you up. Because you know why? In the old days, I speak from experience. Sexual harassment charges never go to court in schools. They're paid off. There's a certain amount. If you charge someone with if you charge a principal with sexual harassment,
ask Al Green how that works.
Al Green had to pay it out of his own personal budget. That means us. We paid $750,000 for his last sexual attack upon someone on Capitol Hill, and he's the one who says Trump is a bigot. This man has a history of being a sexual predator on Capitol Hill. Now, let's talk about Cohen. Cohen had to pay, well, we'll go there in a minute, but let's talk about his last lawyer, Ty Cobb. Okay, everyone said Ty Cobb was Trump's closest lawyer friend, even closer than Michael Cohen. No, he was not. Look at what Ty Cobb is saying now, so that he can make some money. No lawyer can be trusted. You think Trump doesn't know that? You think Trump trusted Cohen or Ty Cobb? You must be out of... You think Trump trusts Rudy Giuliani? Surely you're out of your mind if you do, because no lawyer, in my opinion, or at least let's say the majority of them, cannot be trusted. That is their job. Their job is to deal with the underbelly. And so what happened? Cohen was told by Mueller going to put his wife in jail for 30 years and Cohen in jail for 30 years because Cohen has so many crimes that the crimes they listed are at the tip of the iceberg. So what's going to happen? Cohen's going to go to jail for 3 years, and I predict that he's going to come out a broken man because you know how many people are in there because of him? If they don't put him in a protected... That's the reason Manafort has a lot of enemies. That's the reason they put him in solitary confinement. If they don't put Cohen in solitary confinement every day of those 3 years, he ain't coming out. Okay? That's what's going to happen. He will cop another charge because they will set him up. Because why? He's as corrupt as any lawyer in New York City, which basically means he is a devil spawn.
Okay, next tweet. Sessions didn't have a clue.
Sessions was hired early on by, obviously, high-powered people who put money in his offshore account to go in and to absolutely hype up like an insane man the things that Trump was saying specifically about the border wall. Remember that? Remember when he was saying that he was going to send all the illegal aliens back? Sessions was saying he was going to do things that he never did. He never had any intent to do, and that was a fake. And what was he really trying to do? He was trying to get in there so that he could cover up his own crimes in case Trump did get elected for Uranium One, and so that he could cover up the Hillary Clinton crimes and all these crimes of the conspiracy against Trump during the election. He saw all that. He was part of it. He covered up Uranium One. He was on 3 of the 5 committees that had to vote for CFIUS to approve it. He was sent in to stall, to resist, to defect, to deflect, to turn against Trump, but make it look like he's just a sweet old man who couldn't do anyone any harm. And because he had the experience of being an attorney and, high up experience, years of experience, people thought, oh, well, he'll be honest. No, he wasn't. Look at the things he did, all for his own gain, for prisons, where he has money invested in Vanguard, who runs the private prisons. He, with the marijuana, oh my goodness, what kind of idiot would say that the number one healer that they're finding out in the whole world, CBDs, should be turned against, whether it's hemp, marijuana, THC, Rick Simpson oil, or whatever. This kind of insanity, of course, Trump has said, no, of course we're going to go with hemp.
But it doesn't matter because Trump says, yay, let's go for 5G. And Brad Parscale is, yeah, let's go 5G. So you can all be feeling good with your CBD oils, but they're going to turn on the juice and wipe out everybody.
Now, there's a little problem here.
What, am I exaggerating about 5G?
Not at all. That is not an exaggeration at all. It is literally an extinction event. Now, with Cohen, we have to remember that his lies were on top of lies and that his own attorney said that he lied. Okay, Lanny Davis, the liar of liars, the professional legal liar.
Well, how do you know that Lanny isn't lying about the lying?
Well, they're lying about the lying.
They just lie all over the place.
And that was in his statement when he stood up and held his hand up and swore he was going to tell the truth. His first statement was, I have lied, but I'm not a liar. Okay, stop right there. I have lied, but I'm not a liar. Are you still beating your wife? I mean, hello? We can't trust. He's coming back. We can't trust a word he says, and anything he says is supposed to be setting down the groundwork to say that I should probably go there now. The donations that were made to the whore, Stormy Daniels. First off, that's his whore. Everybody knows that. Second off, the other whore was one of the 4 whores that David Brock hired and paid. I think it was $250,000 to make those claims. 3 of them backed out, and then finally the Playboy Bunny came back, and she's getting her money now too. But she's getting her money through the National Enquirer because she found an easier way to do it. Because Trump has friends all over, and the guy who owns the National Enquirer paid $135,000, $150,000 to the Playboy Bunny to tell her to shut up because she came saying she had evidence to take down Trump during his election. And this guy likes Trump and says, no, I'll pay it. He paid it. Trump didn't pay it. Then the $135,000 that was paid supposedly to Stormy Daniels. Where's that check? Where is the proof of that wire transfer that you said in your testimony, Michael Cohen? Probably the only truth you told is that you sent, that might be truth. I don't know if it's true. He said he sent $135,000 wire transfer to Michael Avenatti, the lawyer for Stormy Daniels. Where is that? But then he brings to Congress checks which were his retainers, paid both by a bunch of different people from Trump's many different companies, and one of them had Trump's signature on it, but it was a standard check per month of $35,000 a month. It was his retainer fee. Now, the way that works is you pay a scumbag lawyer to take care of stuff that never comes to your attention, shouldn't come to the surface, because you're paying a scumbag lawyer to do whatever it takes, and I mean literally. And if you think for 1 minute that the mob hasn't killed people in New York over those taxicab medallions, you're out of your mind. No, this man could have gone to jail for murder if they wanted to take him down. And so what are they doing now? The Southern District of New York is going after the confession in his plea deal of Michael Cohen saying that he was guilty of paying of election fraud campaign irregularities. First off, it's not a crime. Second off, all you get is a fine, even if you are charged, like Obama was charged. He had to pay $8,000. Many people have to pay that in case there's any tiny irregularities. You don't go to jail. It's not even a crime. It's certainly not a felony. So the conspiracy they want to bring in the Southern District of New York through Cohen is absurd. Same thing with Manafort. That's the reason they're not giving the sentence for Manafort in Washington, D.C. They only gave the 47 months in Virginia. He should have gone to jail for 25 years, 35 years, and he went to jail for 47, and now the mainstream media is having a conniption fit over that, which is very fine. They should, because really they don't know a single thing. And when they're that kind of leniency is quite normal for his age and his illness, and the fact that they have to spend more money keeping him in solitary confinement or keeping him separated as practically a political prisoner. They're all completely inexperienced in these areas, obviously. There's been no sentence given. No sentence given for Michael Flynn. There's been no sentence given for Gates, who actually got a plea deal and we don't know what it is. There's been no sentencing given for Manafort in Washington, D.C.
Well, you got Amy Berman Jackson there. She's this federal judge that's corrupt like you cannot believe. I call her Mueller's wench. She's just doing the dirty work for Mueller. She's up to her eyeballs in massive corruption and what do you call it? You know, that she should be recused. She should recuse herself. But what she is she's Mueller's favorite darling judge to drop all of his stuff. And so there you have Roger Stone being gagged. Well, why isn't somebody blowing the whistle on this crooked judge?
And Roger Stone not indicted, and Jerome Corsi not indicted, and no sentencing and no nothing. Where is that case? It is nowhere. All of the cases have been given out to lawyers beneath Mueller and parceled out to Virginia, D.C., Southern District of New York, other districts in New York where they are threatening to bring charges because the Attorney General of New York has said she's taking all of her funds and using them to go after Trump after the previous Snyderman, the Attorney General of New York, had done that over 20 times and never got Trump for anything. And then Trump finally did a plea deal with the university, which he said he didn't want to do because he wasn't guilty. And that's the one charge he's ever had in his whole life. He's never had a sexual harassment charge against him. The guy who ran Miss Universe, the guy who has had more exposure as a billionaire to people who would want to entrap him for that, and yet it never happened. And he's only ever said one thing bad that they ever got him for, and that's that, he just grabs you-know-what. Well, that's, first off, there is no such thing. I don't believe he ever said that. And look that it was turned into the monstrous Pussy Hat March, where no two people there were there for the same thing, except that they hated Trump, but they didn't know why. But then they'd tell you Trump raped 13 women instead of the fact that it was Bill Clinton who raped 13 women. I mean, you see how it's transposed?
Well, this is Tavistock brainwashing. And it's been going on for a long time. Now, look, we've got 6 more tweets to go on March 8th. So I want to wrap this one up. We'll do another one. We'll pick up on March 8th. Any closing remarks on these tweets that we just reviewed?
Go Judicial Watch!
Well, that's on the next group of tweets.
Well,
Anything to say about this group
I'm
of tweets?
Excited. You mean we're closing this out?
Yes, we're going to close this one out. We'll open up another one. Anything else on these that we need to know, drill down on?
Paul Sperry, start listening to...
Paul Sperry, I wouldn't buy his book. If you're a listener of ours, buying his book is going to be just rereading all that you know. What we need to do is get Paul Sperry and his ilk to go a little further in their books and their narratives and their reporting.